License and registration, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, officer. I was looking for it. I can't seem to find my documents. Such a mess in here. I was going a little fast back there, wasn't I? That stop sign came out of nowhere. I think I missed it. Look, if you could just give me a break. I'm just coming home from the bar. It was such a long day. I'm tired, and maybe you could just write me a warning this time.
Andy, shut your mouth and talk to your lawyer.
Hold on. Let me talk to my lawyer. Andy, what the hell's the matter with you, dude? You're incriminating yourself. You're giving them probable cause to arrest you. You're doing the cop's job for them. You basically did everything wrong, and you're embarrassing me. Now, unless you want to spend tonight in a jail cell, let me use my super lawyer powers to take it from the top. Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. My name's Andy Marcantel. I'm a partner and criminal defense attorney at the Attorneys for Freedom law firm, and in my career, I have done hundreds of misdemeanor and felony DUI cases. Today, I'm going to give you the tips you need to survive a DUI traffic stop. But before we dive into that, I wanted to get you in my office as your lawyer and have a stern talk with you and tell you what the point of this video is not. It is not the point of this video to teach you how to get wasted, drive drunk, and get away with it. So if that is why you're watching this video, this message is for you. Hey, idiot, stop driving drunk. The best thing that can happen to you if you get arrested for a DUI is you're gonna get mandatory jail time, years of probation, tons of classes, thousands of dollars worth of fines, and a lot of headache and aggravation from the MVD. But the worst thing that could happen to you is you could actually injure somebody, in which case you'd be charged with an aggravated assault, which is usually about 5 to 15 years of mandatory prison time. Or worse, you could kill somebody and get charged with something like a manslaughter or a negligent homicide, which could easily put you in prison for in excess of a decade. So don't be an idiot out there. The purpose of this video is to make sure you know your rights, to make sure you don't get swept up with the many people that I've represented over the years who were unjustifiably, maybe even illegally arrested for a DUI investigation. Unfortunately, a lot of police out there, at the moment they pull you over, have kind of already made up their mind that they're going to make an arrest that night. You're allowed to consume alcohol and drive a car. What you're not allowed to do is you're not allowed to consume alcohol to impairment. All right, so now that the stern talk is over and you're watching this video for the right reasons, let's go and talk about the 4 things you have to do during a DUI traffic stop. So what's rule number 1 of a DUI traffic stop? Well, this one's probably the most obvious. You gotta pull over. If an officer lights you up, you gotta find the first reasonable, safe place to stop. All right, now it's time for rule number 2 that you have to do if you're pulled over in a traffic stop. And that is, if the officer asks for your license, registration, and proof of insurance, you have to produce those documents. Now, I strongly recommend that rather than rifling through your glove box and keeping all of your documents disheveled and disorganized and trying to find them in the heat and stress of the moment, keep them all in one handy-dandy, easy-to-find spot. Like here, for example, we have a document holder that holds all of your important documents. You can quickly retrieve it, and you can hand it to the officer. Rule number 3 of a DUI traffic stop. If the officer asks you to exit the vehicle, you gotta exit the vehicle. And that applies to the passengers as well. It's called the Officer Safety Exception, and it applies in all 50 states. Don't argue with the officer on this. It's not going to go well for you. Just simply exit the vehicle in an orderly fashion. And finally, rule number 4 of a DUI traffic stop. If you're arrested for a DUI at the scene, and only if you're arrested for a DUI at the scene, and then you're later taken back to a police station, you must consent to the blood or breath test that the officer asked you to take. The issue is, if you don't, they're just going to get a warrant for it anyway, and then forcibly take your blood if necessary, and then they're going to yank your license for a full year in something called an implied consent suspension. You don't want that. Just consent to the test. So let's recap the 4 things you have to do during a DUI traffic stop. Number 1, you got to pull over. Number 2, you got to give your documents, license, registration, and proof of insurance upon request. Number 3, you gotta exit the vehicle if asked by the officer. And finally, if arrested for DUI, you must consent to the blood or breath test back at the station. But that is all. As you'll find out, the list of things you don't have to do in a DUI traffic stop is a much longer list. For example, you don't have to answer any of the officer's questions. They like to lead with things like, do you know why I pulled you over tonight? Where were you coming from? Where are you headed to? Well, these are just the officer attempting to get you to incriminate yourself. So don't do the officer's job for them. Also, many people are surprised to find out you don't need to consent to all those field sobriety tests on the side of the road. That's right, take it from a criminal defense attorney. They are designed to make you fail. Now, how do you handle these situations without angering the officer? It's easy. You blame it on me. You say politely, I'm sorry, officer. My attorney told me I'm not allowed to answer any questions without him present. I'm sorry, officer. My attorney told me I'm not allowed to do these field sobriety tests. I'd like to call my attorney. Can I call my attorney? And you ask to call your attorney as soon as possible. Now make sure to keep a criminal defense lawyer's phone number in your phone. Keep in mind, a traffic stop is not only stressful for you, but for the officer as well. Statistically speaking, this is where a lot of officers get injured during these types of situations. When an officer is approaching your vehicle and sees you rifling around for your possessions in your glove box, they don't know whether you're going for a weapon, some sort of a firearm. Just stay calm, take a deep breath, and keep your hands where they can see them as they approach your vehicle. Here's an easy one, guys. Don't make yourself a free traffic stop for the officer. What do I mean by that? I mean, check your equipment often. Make sure that your license plate lights and your tail lights are working. And also make sure that your registration sticker is up to date. Because if an officer happens to get behind you in traffic and any one of those things is off, I guarantee you, you're getting pulled over. Now here's another useful tip. I always tell my friends, family, and clients, if you even have one drink, make sure to pop a mint when you get behind the wheel. That's why I always tell people, carry a pack of mints right here in your driver's side door. Because in the hundreds of police reports that I've seen, a lot of time that initial suspicion of a DUI comes from when the officer notes that he smells intoxicants on the suspect's breath. Now, another important thing that you could keep in mind is during this time of the pandemic, you might be really concerned about protecting yourself from the spread of COVID-19. And if you keep a mask handy within reach when the officer approaches, you could place on the mask. Now, I've seen in many police reports in the last couple of years since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic, officers noting in their police reports after the fact that they were unable to detect the smell of intoxicants on the suspect's breath because they were wearing a mask. And they can't force you to take that mask off. Just something to keep in mind. And that's it, guys. The 4 things you have to do during a DUI traffic stop. And remember, if it ain't on that list, you don't have to do it during a DUI traffic stop. Be safe out there. Check out attorneysforfreedom.com for more information on our law firm. And if you want an attorney in your back pocket at all times, check out our Attorneys on Retainer program. Stay safe out there. Peace.
License and registration, please.
Hey, you're wasted. You shouldn't be driving.